Hey, boomers. Oh, you have a treat for you today. One of the most interesting people I know. Her name is Meryl Sher. She is an opera singer. She is, uh, and she is one of the most giving and kind people I've ever met. So I'm just delighted to introduce you to her today. So
Thank you.
welcome, Meryl.
Thank you so much. I was so touched when you invited me to come hang out with you and do this wonderful little podcast for people. And I just am really honored and I'm really excited about what you're doing for people. Like you are really out there having conversations in the world about people and what's important in life and, what's up, like really what's going on with people. So I was really moved when you asked me to come play with you on the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Well, I'll just tell everybody that the first time I met you, I think, was at a conference we were at called A Life That Sings.
Yes.
And while it was not a musical week, it was a week about having your life be so great that it's singing. And also, we were privileged to hear you sing at the end of the conference. So I uh, I'd just like to hear about how you started singing and when you discovered that you had a voice.
Oh, wow. That goes way back. So, for those of you, I'm 67. This is what it looks like when you have a great life and you're having fun. Anyway, so I found out because I was taking piano lessons and I was about 12. And my piano teacher, so I played clarinet and glockenspiel and I sang in the chorus when I was growing up. But my piano teacher said to my parents, Meryl sings while she's playing, and I think she has a voice. So go give her some lessons. So I ended up starting very young. I started taking lessons around 12, 13. And I work with some teachers privately, where I live. And then that teacher said to me, I think we're going to have you audition for Julliard pre-college. And
Whoa.
I got in. And so I was, what, 15, 16? Yeah. And on Saturdays during high school, I would come into New York City. I lived about 45 minutes outside the city in the suburbs. And I was in my teacher's studio, one of 5 people taken that year. So I was like, oh, wow, this is special. I must have something special. And I started, performing, learning my repertoire, learning, what I needed to learn, languages and like that. After Juilliard, I went to Oberlin, which is a very well-known conservatory, and I double majored in German studies because I knew I'd be singing in German, as well as an art history minor, and hence you could see a little bit of art here because I love art. But every time I get to sing, I do concerts and I like going to senior centers and nursing homes. So if anybody knows anybody, I always put it out there. If you want me to come sing for your people, I'm ready. And so I've always had this unusual voice. But I love singing different kinds of repertoire. I sing um, standards, show tunes. I like singing a lot of different operetta as well. And so yeah, so I've been through a lot. Let's see, one of the things I would probably say that I didn't do that in retrospect, I probably would have, it's one of those would have, could have, should haves, which I don't like to live inside of that paradigm. But I realized that in my 20s, Germany would have been the way to go. At that time, in the late 70s and early 80s, they had a system where people who were young could really work their way up and build the repertoire and really become facile on stage. And so it's the one thing that I didn't do. I did everything else. You know, I had some agents, I auditioned all over the place. And, you know, sometimes I'd get something, and most of the time I wouldn't.
Is now, would you say that that's actually probably the life of most performing artists?
Unfortunately, yes. I think it's often who you know, being in the right place at the right time, um, and having a consistent technique that serves you every time you open your mouth. And that kind of leads to another piece of my life, which is about my weight.
Well,
So,
so
yeah.
is, but your weight is like not unusual for an opera singer.
Well, it depends on the voice type. So, lighter voices tend to have smaller bodies. And this is a generalization. It is not accurate. It is not fact. There are slimmer singers who have bigger voices. So, but for the most part, we have a lot of singers who have these stunning, lush voices that are big and fill a 3,000. You know, the Met's a big house. When you go to
Yes.
Europe, there are a few houses that are on the larger side, like, you know, Munich. Uh, you know, there are some bigger houses, but so many towns and places in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and, you know, all over Europe, the houses are smaller. So people can sing bigger repertoire with the smaller voice. It's a really interesting phenomenon. So, anyway, I believe that my voice went through a lot of issues technically. Every time I'd lose weight, I would have like some kind of support issues in my body. And it would throw my technique off, my breathing, how I took a breath, how I, you know, and now I've recently lost some weight, and I'm committed that I get the voice into condition that that works with my body now. And that takes a little time to fine tune everything and all the coordination, to get it to the point that you don't think about it. You breathe and sing. You know, you're in the character, you breathe and you sing. And that takes a little time to get everything aligned.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm
noticed.
still going. I'm still doing it. I'm preparing that opera, the Cavalleria, for a performance. I'm looking at the last weekend of April, April 29th, to do a live stream. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now, my project.
Oh, well, when we complete, I'd like to have you tell people how they can tune in to hear
Oh,
you.
thank
Okay.
you. That'll be fun. It's still in process, but they can certainly reach out to me, and I'll, you know, put them on the list for, you know, when we send out the invitations, and, you know, when I post it. So
Okay, good.
thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I I come from a family that likes to sing, but certainly not professionally. Although my mother, when I mean, she grew up, she was an adult during the Depression. And when she was out of the house and earning her own money, she got voice lessons.
Wow.
And her teacher said, if I would have had you when you were younger, you would be singing opera. So she had a great voice. And she spent her career singing in the church choir
Excellent.
and singing solos and singing for weddings and singing for funerals. And you know, and she put her kids in the church choir when we were young. You know, I
Love that.
remember wearing those little white bibs with the little colored bows for Easter. I mean, it was a big in Christmas, you know, the Christmas pageants. So, you know, singing for us was not ever professional.
Well, it's so funny you talk about that because when I think I haven't sung in a lot of choirs, and you may ask why, why haven't you sung in a choir? And I go, well, because they would say, Meryl, lighten up, lighten up, sing straight, no vibrato. You got to sing a straight tone and lighten up because my voice just like
It's too big for the choir.
So hard to blend. It was always hard to blend. But it was funny you're talking about your mom, and I'm thinking about my mom. My mom couldn't sing at all. So but my father sang in all city chorus in Brooklyn when he was growing up. And so I get it from his side of the family, somewhere in Russia, somewhere in, well, what's now Ukraine, right? That part of Russia where my ancestors are from. And my sister can sing and my brother can sing. So the four of us could sing, but my mother couldn't. So we would take these family trips in the car on the road, and my mother would conduct. And we would sing like the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and we would do all the little side parts, the harmonies and stuff. And my mother would be
well, she enjoyed having you play with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How
He
great.
was both my parents really supported me in the pursuit of my singing, because of all the people that said, Meryl, you've got this great talent. But like I said, sometimes things happen and sometimes they don't.
Well, here's how I look at it, Meryl, is that those of us who have been privileged to hear you sing received a tremendous gift from you.
Thank you.
And not as many people in the world have gotten to have that experience that they maybe should have or could have or would have.
Thank you. Appreciate that. When I sang in May for the first time in years, because I had gotten sick in 2015-16, and I didn't think I'd sing opera again. And the doctors couldn't figure it out.
Oh no.
No, they tested me and they did all these things, but they forgot one. And the one test I found out by going to a homeopath naturopath, but what happened was I had pain in every part of my body. And so I found out with a homeopath naturopath, and I'm a doctor's daughter. So I grew up with Western medicine. And then after being so sick and realizing, well, this person used natural methods and I got healthy because of her, right? But it did affect my vocal cord. Now I've used a lot of different alternative methods that have now my cords being healthy again. So I can sing opera. Now, the thing is that I am of a certain age, right? As I said, I'm 67, and women especially go through changes through menopause. And this affects, obviously, all boomers. It affects all of we women, where the vocal cords actually get shorter and thicker. So sometimes it's harder to get your high notes, and the voice goes through different changes. So that's another reason why I have to work harder to get my voice, in really great shape.
Yes. Well, I would tell you that my mother sang solos well into her 80s.
Yes.
So I foresee that you have a lot of music to still share with the world,
Thank
Meryl.
you. That's my intention. Thank you.
And I am thrilled that you are using it in a volunteer capacity, with people who are getting older. It seems to be having worked in a nursing home, I can tell you that sometimes when people can no longer have a conversation with you, their ability to appreciate music is undiminished. And
I agree 100%, my friend. Oh my God. I've sung in places where people could be sitting there completely out of it, but then all of a sudden you'll see them or they'll know the words. They'll start singing.
Yes.
Like you touch someone's memory or heart or a particular way, and all of a sudden it's like, joy is present. And that's really part of my commitment for the world, is that people are present to joy and passion and love, that they get to, really celebrate life now,
Yes. And even if you can't have a coherent conversation with someone, I found that I could sing Christmas carols with them, or patriotic songs they sang when they were children in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And that they and sometimes even other songs, songs that were from, the Sinatra days.
Well, yeah, for sure. And even if you look at some of the old movies with Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, and you look at Cole Porter, and Jerome Kern and all the tunes that they know, and Rodgers and Hammerstein, from all these musicals, they remember all of those tunes.
Yes.
So great.
So I am so appreciative of your willingness to use your gifts in that way. It is so generous. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. And I am always looking for venues, places to sing like that. And, during the pandemic, everything closed. There
Right.
was, they weren't allowing anybody to come in, you know. And now it's time for me to reach out again. I have a friend, the baritone, who's going to be singing in the Cavalleria Rusticana. He actually has done some singing in some nursing places in Long Island. So I'm looking to kind of reach out and re-network, reconnect with places that, I can go and
Well,
sing.
and when you can come live, I mean, that's wonderful. And I know that there are many places that would just they would just be so thrilled to have you come in as a guest soloist
Thank you.
if they knew that you know, there was some chance they could get you.
Well,
So,
if we can find a pianist out there in Colorado, the next time I'm out there, maybe we can create something together.
well, I think we should do that. I have a great friend who is the choir director and organist for our church. And she directs the choir, and well, she's a fabulous. She played organ in Vienna in her younger years. So she's a great musician, and I know she would be thrilled.
That would be fun.
Okay, good. All right, well, we'll put that on our to-do list. I know you come out here from time to time, so
I do. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get there now until maybe July or August. And, I thought about at one point, do I get a place out there? And I realized, I'm a New York girl. I really am a New York girl.
well, that is that is something special. You know, truthfully, I'm an Iowa girl who's just spent a lot of her life in Colorado, which is
Beautiful.
not too unusual.
Yeah, it's so beautiful out there. When I was out there, it was the first trip I took after I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan, and I was here by myself for a year and 3 months, all by myself, and
Yes.
not really doing anything but being on Zoom and connecting with people like you and doing courses. And, I didn't sing the whole pandemic. And then when I came back from Colorado in August of 21, and I spent 2.5 months out there. And it was, I got an Airbnb and I just said, I need to be with my family. And it was a wonderful time. And I came back and I said to my pianist, let's start working on opera again. I really want to see what I can do now. and it's just so yummy. It's just yummy.
Well, and it's so great that you are actually staging performances. Yes?
Yeah, this performance, I am looking for a hall that has a stage. It will be with piano, and I'm looking to have it live streamed again. And not every place is the right place, be it the acoustic. So a lot of the big churches, everybody's live streaming now because they did all the services by live stream, after a
Right.
while. And so it's available in many big churches.
Yes.
However, the acoustic is so live. So when I did mine, it was in a church down in the village, and it was a smaller church. So the acoustic was beautiful, but it didn't have all that echo. So with
Yes.
big voice and recording or live streaming, you don't want all that echo, you know. Um, so I'm looking for, specific spaces that could work. And that's currently what's happening is I will be going around to different spaces and seeing the acoustic and the piano quality and like that. So it's exciting.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing you. And these days, I'm not singing in the choir because I'm not going out to church anymore.
So
Having gotten COVID in the summer, I'm just like, that's enough. I do not want it again.
yeah,
So,
I actually got it my sister came to New York for my concert in May. And after not having it for what, almost 2.5 years almost, she was here in my apartment and she had no symptoms. And I did my concert having been exposed. And literally 2 days after the concert, I was sick, really sick. But I got, it was fine after a week. I didn't test positive for 5 days.
wow.
But I got through my concert because that next week I had no voice, none. I was like, oh, thank you that you let me get through the concert. And, but there were some things in the concert. I went, oh, that high note was a little weird. And my breathing, what was that? So it's interesting how we get affected in different ways,
Yes.
this is part of our life now. And I'm really committed that I live a vital life. I am traveling. I love to travel. It's one of my passions. Um, and I'm dating again. I'm looking to meet a guy to share my life with. Um, I really realized that while I have a great life and I'm perfectly fabulous alone, it'd be cool to share with someone all the things that I love to do. Being out in the city, going to the theater, that's the other thing. I came back this year, this past August. I started going to the theater all the time. I love theater. I love dance. So there's a theater here called the Joyce, and they have all these different companies come in, and they have like little week, 2 weeks, sometimes three, but most of the time it's 1 or 2 weeks. And they come to the Joyce, and so you get to see all kinds of dance, which I just adore. I adore. And yes, I wear my mask in the theater. I just do. You know, having not been able to sing then for a while, I don't want to get sick again. And
Exactly.
right, so I'm protecting me as well as other people, but I'll go to the theater and have people not wearing masks on either side of me, and it's all good. Whatever people choose to do, they choose to do, and that's okay with me. But I choose my mask when I go into the
Well,
theater
but
shopping.
that's being responsible for your life. And your life is music. So
Yeah.
it's like, yes.
And it's interesting when I find occasionally I meet someone who hasn't had COVID yet. And it's really interesting to see what they do and how they protect or not protect or what you want to, whatever, however they do their lives. And, but, look, here in New York, we were hit really hard at the beginning. And I know
Oh,
many,
yes.
many people who have long haul COVID. And one of them's a fabulous tenor. Oh my gosh, fabulous. I know two tenors who got it really badly. Excuse me. And fortunately, he did not go on event. So he protected his chords. The rest of his body's a mess, but the chords are okay.
Well,
So
that is great to hear.
I know, right? But it
Yes.
really, he's one of the people who got it bad, like in every single organ. Like such a good person too. Oh, he's such a good guy and so smart and gifted and oh my gosh, just a really good person. So I'm hoping that one of these days I get to sing with him. I actually reached out to him and said, hey, you want to work on this repertoire with me? Because it'd be fun, right? But I have some wonderful colleagues singing in the Cavalleria. And yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. I'm looking for a small chorus because you have to have a chorus for Cavalleria because some of the parts of it have this wonderful chorus. Um, so yeah, I got a lot going on,
I
and
got it. Well, if
that's aside from the other stuff I do, now
oh
I'm
well, I know that you are committed to growth and development, that you coach people, that you are very generous with your time. So I think what we should do is have you tell people how they can reach you.
well, probably the best way is to send me an email. Because I mean, they could probably call my cell as well, but can you imagine all the boomers? I might hear from a lot of people. Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that
Um,
be cool?
that'd be cool. So if they send me an email to Meryl.Sher, that's my first name dot my last name, at Verizon.net. So that's a Verizon, like the telephone, .net. That's probably the best way. And if they put in the subject line from Michelle's podcast, Boomer Zoomers, Zoomer Boomers, Boomer Zoomers, then I'll know, oh, this person saw the podcast or, would love to chat about something that I mentioned. And, I would welcome hearing from people. I'm here. I'm really retired.
Right.
Retired. Retired is like, what is retired? I love life and I love doing all these things, uh I think that there are so many opportunities for people to create a life at any age, at
Right.
any age, right? And so that's part of why, like my coaching thing that I don't really coach a lot anymore. When someone comes to me and say, "Hey, could you give me your thoughts or can we work on this?" I'll do it. Um, I did coaching for many, many years, over 20 years without being paid for it. And then
Wow.
I literally went out and got a certification to be a life coach. But I realized, it's not really what I want to do. I want to sing, I want to share about health and wellness, and I want to live my life. And but my coaching business was passion in action coach. Now, I do have a website if they want to go check out some things, some testimonials, and you know, there's some other things in there that they can check out. It's my first name, last name.com,
Oh,
MerylSher.com. So
okay.
that's the
So,
other place. And they could contact me through that too, through that website, MerylSher.com.
all right.
Either
And the name is right there on the screen, and so you can see it and people can get in touch with you.
way.
Thank you,
So
Meryl.
much
Thank you
fun.
for
This was
being
like,
with us.
it flew by. It flew by. It flew by. And I'm thanking you again for the opportunity. And I'm thanking you for doing this for us. And what a great project for your life.
It
You know,
is fabulous for me. There's a lot of stuff that I used to do I cannot do anymore, but I love to talk to people. So it's perfect.
yes.
Uh,
And we're blessed that we get to have Zoom, we get to have all these different technologies that connect us to people.
It's true. And I mean, I will say my stand is Zoom is a miracle.
I agree
And that it
100%.
came at just the right time.
Yes. And, the courses that you and I have done also, we were Zooming before the pandemic. So we had
Right.
the technology, we were a little more familiar than many people. But one of my friends, so I'm in New York City, right in Manhattan, and I have a friend who's in San Diego. And it just so happens we have the same last name, but I don't know that we're related. And he said to me, Meryl, your life could have gone a very different direction during the pandemic, but you didn't survive. You thrived. And
Yes.
and that for me was a big deal. When someone can see that we can create at any age a life that we love.
Right. Well, might even say a life that sings.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for today. See you,
Thank you,
boomers.
Buds.
Hi, boomers. Welcome back. So Meryl Sher's a soprano, someone who lives her life with love and passion, a longtime coach, someone who cares about your wellness, but her real passion in life is singing. I think the biggest takeaway for me from our conversation is that even if your life doesn't turn out exactly the way you wanted it to, you can still create a life that you love, a love of passion and joy and making a difference. And speaking of that, Meryl's concert that she spoke of is coming up in this month. So it will be held April 29th at the Church of the Village in New York City. So it'll be a live performance. And it will also be streamed. So you can get tickets for that. You can watch it live, streamed live, or you can save it and watch it later. And I will put the contact information in the show notes. So I'm looking forward to hearing Meryl sing again. Well, that'll just be great. That's it for today, boomers. Just remember, if you want to be happy and healthy, one way to do that is drink boomer juice. No, drink happy juice every day. That's it. So long.